everyone, and welcome to another VSM Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Krakowski, joined this week by Ryan Schroeder.
Hello, Daniel.
And today we have a special guest. We have Breanne Stomley.
Hi, glad to be here.
And I don't know, that name sounds familiar, the last name. Does that sound familiar to you, Ryan?
Yeah, I might have heard that one before.
Yes, actually, you are the wife of...
I am the better half of Breanne Stomley, and...
Definitely the better half.
For sure.
Yes, and he was podcast guest 19, if anybody wants to look back.
All right.
Perfect, yes. And when Aaron came in, he talked about the new business that they started called Touching Hearts at Home. They didn't start it. They acquired the business and are improving it, putting a new life into it. What sort of involvement have you had in that process?
Right. So my main background, I went to college up at UMD, and in my previous life, I was and worked in television at the ABC affiliate. And so I have a great interest in marketing and relationship building and being in front of people. And so my main goal with the business right now is just meeting all the different players out in this new industry that we're being a part of. So Touching Hearts at Home is a in-home service company where we provide care for seniors and the disabled in their homes to allow these people to stay in their homes. We work hand in hand with adult day programs, the hospitals, assisted living facilities, nursing homes. And so right now I have been getting our face of who Aaron and Breanne Stomley out in front of people, hearing from people, hearing their stories. I mean, it's just been an incredible process that I've been a part of.
Yeah, that's the best way to grow a new business. And I think the further any of us get into business, we just realize the more you can connect with people, the better off it's going to be. Not just for you personally and how fulfilling your life is, but also what it's going to do for your business as well. Yep. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. So how long has it been now since you've purchased that business?
We purchased the business on December 6th. Okay. So we're still really, really new in the game. Each day brings new challenges, and it's exciting. It's a 24-hour business, so it's a living, breathing thing in itself, where we've already had situations come up where we've had, of course, people changing their shifts or individuals wanting to have a different type of caregiver. We've had a few patients, of course, unfortunately pass away, which is the nature of our business too. And so we have been hit the ground running, learning about our business and, doing the daily operations of the business as well.
Wow. So I remember speaking with Aaron a little bit about it. And for those who did listen to number 19, you said,
right.
Yep, number 19, they probably know a little bit as well. But from your perspective, what sort of experience did you have? What attracted you to this business in particular?
Well, when we were looking at a number of businesses, it really had to be something that we felt like we were serving others. I was looking for a business for us where at the end of the day, our kids, once they're old enough, they're in first grade, kindergarten, and then we have an 8-month-old, all girls. Poor Aaron, right?
What a toilet paper bill.
Oh, yeah. We really wanted to be something that our kids could be really proud of us and say, oh, what do your mom and dad do? And they could come back and say that, we help people stay in their homes and thrive well in their homes. And so that was the biggest draw for us. For me, on a very personal level, this is a second marriage for me. My first husband actually passed away from cancer 5 years ago, and I used a service like this during his passing. And so I've also been a direct recipient of how the work that we're doing to care for people at all stages of their life, including that end-of-life care, is so, so important.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic that you have that personal connection and got to experience it from the client side. That really makes a lot more sense in how you got into this particular business. So, I think a lot of, we've mentioned this before as well, a lot of our listeners tend to be not only interested in real estate, but that mindset also attracts just the entrepreneurial minded as a whole. What sort of changes have you noticed from going from, I know Aaron in particular, working a typical job, going to the entrepreneurial side? What adjustments did you have to make in your life? What mentality shifts have you had?
I think one of the adjustments for me is I as an owner and learning how to be an owner in regards to, I would be very stressed, like, oh, I have to get to the office by this time and this time. And of course you need to be punctual when you have meetings and this kind of a thing. And Aaron a couple of times said, hey babe, we own the thing. Like you can get there when you know, like, and so that even took some getting used to, like, oh, you're right. We are designing this business. And of course our employees are looking to us for guidance, but we get to set the role of what his day looks like, what my day looks like. And it's a way to really have flexibility for our family too.
Yeah. So when you moved into this new way of thinking and everything and this new path in your life, I think that a lot of people, and real estate in particular, it's very common where people move into this business because they think that they're going to be able to go hang out with their friends in the summer and spend a lot of time away because they do have that flexibility. Have you noticed the temptation to do that? And if so, how have you combated it to stay on purpose with what you're trying to accomplish?
Well, the biggest thing is that our business really kind of doesn't lend to the flexibility where we could just go take off tomorrow and say, oh, see
True.
It's not going to happen because it's a 24-hour business. But the fact that we're doing it together, like, for example, Aaron has an opportunity, in a simple example, to be a guest reader at my stepdaughter's school this week.
Nice.
And so I will be able to be in the office for him, so one of us is there, so he can go off and do that in the school. And so it's the fact that you just kind of get a little bit more say in how your day and what your life looks like.
I almost think of it as common sense prevails a little bit, where if there's no boxes that need to be checked necessarily just for the sake of checking the boxes. The job just needs to get accomplished, and if you can get the mission done, then great, everyone's happy.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Goran and I are in a business partnership together, and we very much, like you indicated, can divide and conquer. If one person has a personal thing or is going on vacation or whatever, then the other person can kind of take up for them. But it's a little bit of an interesting dynamic for me to consider what that would be like to be a husband and wife and sharing, the home life and being a partnership during day to day. What's it like to...
Right.
Did you get sick of each other?
Luckily, we did learn really early on when looking at doing this business together is to put our marriage first and not to look at the other person across the table and see work. I don't want to look at my husband one day and say, oh, all I do is I look at you and I see my job.
Right.
And so it's about, I think, being in that mindset. I think the other thing that has set us up to be successful at this is our work together with our rental investments, and we can obviously jump in there too. How in the beginning, when we were acquiring our rental business, we were doing everything together. Every decision was made together. Every nuance of who's the company we're going to hire to change out the carpets, who's going to do this, who are we going to call to replace the refrigerator? Because when you're learning and you're in that beginning process, you kind of need each other's support to do those things. Over time, naturally, Aaron just kind of started filling that role without needing to necessarily have the other person in the loop. And so it's about figuring out what roles one another plays. And so we did that already with our rental business, which I feel like it also sets us up to have success with our new business with Touching Hearts. Because at the end of the day, the buck has to stop with someone. And even though we're in a partnership together, the buck stops with Aaron because he's the one there Monday through Friday. I'm the one that's having deep discussions with him about what we want our business to look like, what the philosophy of our business is. But at the end of the day, one of us has to be there to make the choice.
That reminds me of a takeaway from that Scaling Up book that I read recently, where it said either one person's in charge or no one's in charge. And I think that you hit the nail on the head. The buck needs to stop with somebody. At the end of the day, you can have a consensus on and discuss a lot of the decisions, but one person just kind of needs to be responsible for.
And just like in all things in life, we're going to disagree. And my opinion is heard, and I have a voice in making sure that he understands my point of view. And it's not that often that we come up against disagreement, but it just takes good communication to kind of work through whatever those obstacles are, whether it's in business or your marriage, personal life, kids, all the stuff.
Yeah, and I can imagine, so I'm definitely not in business with my girlfriend. We've been together for a long time, but I can imagine that would actually potentially help our ability to have some sort of measured discourse in terms of maybe some emotional arguments that we have as well, where just being able to and practicing communicating logically like you would with someone that you are in business with could also potentially strengthen the relationship as well.
Yep.
And just another example of that is my parents worked together for, I think, 30 years in a small business and to great success. So it's good to hear another success story.
Yep. And it's small things too. Like we, like I mentioned, we have a young family and kids and it's taking time for one another. We really early on, we just started this business and we recognized, and as you all know, getting to the point to close on a business and get to closing, that's a lot of work. And so we closed, we had our new business, we're in the office, we're meeting all of our employees, we're kind of figuring out day one, what needs to start changing, what has to start happening day two, and so forth. And really early on, I feel like we were smart that we took a night and stayed at a hotel by ourselves, just the two of us, no kids. We went to movies, we went to dinner, we did some shopping, and we just had some time to just be together and not have it be about the business or anything else.
So let me ask you this then, for anybody who's listening who may be thinking about acquiring a business. When you do make that transition and you step in and you're dealing with an established infrastructure and an established staff presence, what kind of order do you need to tackle that in, and how do you make those evaluations on how to move forward?
Sure. So we have an existing office staff. So it's a small office. We have 3 individuals working in our office, but then we have about 40 part-time caregivers, and they're not in the office. They're out in people's homes. They're coming in for different various reasons, but the main staff that we're working with every day are those 3 individuals. So day one, we walked into a very busy day. There was a crisis happening where somebody didn't show up for a shift or whatever was happening, and Aaron and I are kind of sitting there like, okay, here we go. Let's hit the ground running. And that first day, we took the time to sit one-on-one in a conference room with each individual and said, we just want to get to know you. What's going on? What do you like about your job? What do you not like about your job? And just spent that time. And so that was what day one looked like. And then we kept talking and kept communicating. And we also accepted that not everybody might stay with us. They might not like us. Maybe they didn't like some of the changes that we've put in place already early on. But so far, with good communication, I think it's going to be a really good thing. Everybody's stayed put. We've already implemented some great changes with technology that people are loving. It actually launched yesterday. And so far, it comes back to good communication and just hearing from people. What's your story? What drives you? Yeah. What are your needs in the workplace? All of those things.
And in a larger business like that, where you do have 40, you said, part-time caregivers, I really like the strategy of reaching out and getting to know and earning the trust of some of the more trusted lieutenants as well, to have someone who's already established and understands the model, being able to give you some more real-time information.
Yep. And so I'm hosting a big party for all the staff coming up on the 16th, and we're just going to meet everybody. And I just want to hear from people what drives them to do this kind of work, and just tell them how appreciated they are.
Yeah.
Because their clients appreciate them so much. The families they're serving appreciate them so much. But as the new business owners, as their new bosses, we appreciate them so much.
Yeah. And the people listening didn't notice that, but Breanne almost grimaced as she said bosses. I can see that.
It's so weird. I hate that word. What else do you say?
I don't know, but it doesn't usually get any easier, especially when you end up bringing on people who are maybe older than you, and you feel like like you should be sort of answering to them, and hearing those words, bosses, it doesn't never get easy.
It is a very strange word. Yeah.
One thing that I've always admired about you is that I feel, and I hope this isn't offensive in any way, but there's a shortage of entrepreneurial type women. So when I come across one, they tend to really stand out. So when I first met you, it was in the capacity of trying to take and earn your property management business for a townhome that you guys owned in Shakopee that you were living in at the time. And then since I've known you, you've then expanded from doing yoga, which was kind of your side side gig.
Yep.
And then to doing cabbie, selling clothing. Then you guys grew an investment portfolio of real estate, and now you own this other business. Was that entrepreneurial spirit always there? Was it something that Aaron brought out of you? Was it something you brought out of each other? Kind of talk about that a little bit.
I think for me, it was always there. When my first husband, David, passed away, I was really looking for something else, and that's where yoga came along. So I put all of my efforts into yoga school and went to school for 2 years at an amazing school in Minneapolis called Devanati Yoga. And then from there, I started teaching classes. That was the point where Aaron met me. I was teaching about 6 yoga classes a week. And then I also launched a small business with another widow friend where we teach yoga to other widows and widowers in the Twin Cities. That group is called Embrace the Journey. And so that was another heart piece for me. Then fast forward, I met Aaron. eHarmony works. It does. It took one day.
Shout out eHarmony.
Oh my gosh. He signed up. I signed up on a Thursday. He signed up on the next day, Friday. That was it. We were matched, and I met my husband. I don't know how that happened. I still think we could be a commercial with the old guy.
Yeah. Poor eHarmony only got 3 days worth of commission from you guys.
Yeah,
though.
literally. Well, no, the joke's on us. We both paid for a year subscription.
There you go.
Yeah. So from there, I was able to really get involved with our business with the real estate, and then Cabbie came on my radar. And Cabbie is a LA-based clothing company where I do in-home trunk shows for women, and that's a business that I've really been able to design what I want that business to look like. So I do an average about 8 shows a month. And so I'm obviously it's a commission-based business that I'm in sales, and I'm selling sweaters and jeans, but I'm also kind of helping women build up their confidence. I cannot tell you how many times and you guys are, I'm standing in front of a room of men, but how many times I'm in front of a woman and she says to me, I have never felt this good in a pair of jeans. And I
get that a lot too.
Yeah. I'm sure you do. So I'm serving women in that way. I definitely have an entrepreneurial spirit, and I have a spirit of serving others and being in relationship with others. And so when Aaron really approached me with this desire and this drive to purchase his own business with Touching Hearts, he probably brought that up on our first date. I mean, this has been in his mindset always. And since I've been able to work for myself for a number of years now, on December 6th, when we started our new business, I could not have been more thrilled for my husband and so excited that he finally gets to do exactly what he wants to do. And I'm having such a great time watching him do it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm particularly proud of him for that too.
Mm-hmm.
I was not to the extent that you were, but along for the journey to an extent too, and watched as he went from not having any rental properties and working in a company to owning some properties and then supporting your aspirations with Cabbie. And then I think that was probably another motivating factor too, seeing that it can be done.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all he ever talked about when we'd get together was this business, that business. And so it's...
And you need that support around you. There was a lot of times where, as his wife, where he was kind of talking to me about, oh, what do you think of this? And one of that, there was a few times I said, when was the last time you went to lunch with Ryan? Get together with Ryan. Because you need to bounce ideas off of other people.
I swatted down a few of his lame ideas, but
Yeah. Well, for those of you who don't know, by the way, Cabbie is really what's hot on the streets. It's true. My girlfriend, all of her friends, they love that. They love everything that they make. So definitely check it out if you haven't. I want to rewind, go back in time for a second. So you meet Aaron. eHarmony works out. Everything's going good. First date, he's telling you, hey, I want to start my own business. You've come to realize that was more than just a pickup line. So that's good too. What point did the real estate investing come up? How did that manifest itself?
Well, I think the real estate came up for a lot of people like us, maybe coming into a second marriage or at this time in our lives in our, mid-30s, whatever. When you both own your own homes and you want to be together and live together, how do you make that happen? So for us, I was living in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in downtown Minneapolis that I owned on Washington Avenue in the Mill City neighborhood. So I was living there in Minneapolis, and my new boyfriend was living in his townhome in Shakopee. And so we would be...
Did Aaron know about him?
Exactly. So we were doing a lot of the driving back and forth, and the relationship was going well, and we knew we wanted to be together. So luckily, we were able to find a renter just on our own privately through a mutual friend to rent my condo in downtown Minneapolis. I moved in with Aaron in his townhome, and then we got to a point where we want our own home. So how do we make that work? How do we make that work? So I remember we talked with Ryan, and Ryan helped us. My renter that was in the Minneapolis condo ultimately showed interest in purchasing that from me, and Ryan helped put that together for us, and that turned out beautifully. And so it was at that point, and so I'm getting ahead of myself because we had already decided to rent Aaron's townhome in Shakopee also. So that's where we met Ryan. So we met Ryan. We were renting both the townhome in Shakopee and the condo in Minneapolis. And then the next step was selling the Minneapolis property and using money from that sale to start funding other income properties as well. Great.
That's actually advice that many are given, but few actually execute. So kudos to you and Aaron both for actually putting that into action. And that's really the difference maker, I think, not just in this business, but in pretty much all businesses.
It's great to have diversified income streams too, right?
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. And knock on wood, we're in a moment in time where our rentals we have good tenants in them. Nothing's breaking at the moment, and so literally knock on wood. And when you get, and that takes work, and that takes some time and some energy, and you can get there, and it's great. Yeah.
So how about this then? You own this business now, which is obviously going to take a lot of your time and resources for the next X amount of months, years, whatever. At what point do you consider continuing to expand your real estate portfolio? When do you focus on the business? How do you make those determinations? Because it's really difficult, I think, to then be able to separate and see where your time and money is best spent.
Well, I'm actually shocked that Aaron isn't having us buying more real estate right now because he loves it so much.
I'm shocked too.
I'm shocked because I think, as he described in episode 19, that we acquired 6 in our first year of marriage. Like, who does that? That was crazy. And so it was like every day it was like, honey, I want to buy another house. I'm like, this guy's nuts. And so and so he has really had a strong focus on the business right now. Our rental income is operating well. And it's literally going to be any moment that he just looks at me and says, okay, I'm ready, for another one, because it's such a passion of his.
And then for structuring that, just out of curiosity, so I know a lot of people do it different ways. Do you separate those two accounts? Do you use real estate money only for future real estate, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Our business and our real estate business are 2 separate entities.
Got it. And that's a smart way to do it for a lot of reasons.
Yes.
But one, I think it also can help you set your own pace for your growth. Is that kind of the logic behind it?
You can set your own pace for the growth, and it's the fact that they get to operate as separate businesses. And so as things fluctuate with one business or the other, or things fluctuate with my cabbie things, or whatever we bump up against in life next, because that is life.
Right.
We have these 2 boxes that are kind of their functioning own units, which I think is so important.
Yeah.
Well, from a liability standpoint, too, segregation of assets, that's number one. And then, number 2, having a self-sustaining real estate ownership entity that you can get financing on without having to necessarily put the hooks as far as guarantees into your other non-related businesses is also a smart strategy as well.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess the final question that I sort of have is one that I can't even begin to fathom how you guys are able to manage this. But you have multiple different businesses, multiple income streams, and at the same time, you have 3 kids. How do you find that balance in life to make sure that you're still being able to spend time with your kids as well as doing everything else that you're doing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, we're tired. I mean, we are tired when our heads hit the pillow at the end of the day. Because when we come home, we do a very good job of having that time with our kids and our time as a family to be focused on that time. And so we are good at talking about our high lows at the dinner table, eating meals together. Our kids are very busy. Our kids do their own activities. They have swimming, and they're into gymnastics and this and that. And we actually made a conscious choice to not have our kids in activities for this winter, the last couple of months, because we knew the business was coming. And we're there, and now they're ready. They're ready for the other stuff. We're going to do swimming for the spring session, but it's been really nice to just give our kids a break from that kind of stuff, have that time together as a family, get out, play when the weather is nice. And so, at the end of the day, we always say to one another, over everything else, whatever is happening with our businesses and all the ways that we're both being pulled in multiple directions, our marriage and our kids come first before everything else. And if you have that be your main focus over everything else, then that's the end goal in life. That's the beauty in life. And, I'm lucky that I have a partner that sees that as well, because we're doing it together. So yeah, on paper, we're crazy. But at the end of the day, we're just so lucky in each other and with our kids and our family. And it's great. It's a good thing.
Wow. That's a pretty strong statement and really impactful. So hopefully Erin's crying listening to this right now at home. But I think we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much for being here. That was really insightful. Your story is, they can make a movie about you. No question, right?
Maybe one day they will.
Yes. Hopefully some studio execs listen to this and you get a phone call.
Cast Reese Witherspoon.
Yep, exactly.
There you go.
There it is. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Thanks again for being here. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.